Today, I am joined by Traci Bakenhaster, who is the owner of Design and Renew Career and Finance Coaching. And she is agreed to be a guest on Guess Your Productivity Bottleneck in 3 questions or less. Welcome, Traci.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Let's find this bottleneck.
I know, let's. All right, so let's start off with our intro question of what do you think is the biggest challenge you face getting everything that you want to get done each day?
I think the biggest challenge, honestly, is just having enough time, just in general, is sometimes a challenge, especially lately. I find myself working, in the evenings and on the weekends. And so sometimes that is a challenge. I just have a lot going on.
Okay, so let's see if we can dig in a little bit deeper to find out what might be causing have enough time. Because maybe it is that you legitimately have too much to do and not enough time, or there could be something else. So tell me more about what you're doing throughout the day.
Yeah, so the last 2 weeks that's taken the most time was switching into a new software system. So it was Dubsado is what I was switching into. And so I had to create all the templates, all the workflows, all of those things, which definitely took quite a long time. Now that it's all up, it's good. It's nice and easily automated, which is fabulous, but it was definitely a process. And then the same with my membership area that I'm soon to be launching. I had to go in and create all the content. I created the graphic images that I liked for, the groups and all those types of things. And I'm still working on reaching out to guest speakers and those types of areas. So it's just been a lot of kind of back end prep work, which I know is not all the time. Once it's set up and it's good, but that has definitely consumed my life for the last 2 weeks for sure. And even before that, just one of my VAs is out on maternity leave, and she's supposed to come back in April, and she hasn't said if she is yet. And I'm like, oh, I got stuff I need her to do. So yeah, it's just a little bit of those unknown things going on in those larger scale projects right now.
So when you say not enough time, and then you mentioned that you had these 2 projects on your plate, is that consistent? Like, is it that you're okay and then a project comes that puts you over the threshold or not?
I would say, yeah, that's probably the standard. Is normally if it's a new project or setting something up, like I'm doing okay. And then something happens, like a big project or an opportunity. And then I'm like, I take that time now to either make a presentation or build out content or do this or do that. And some of it isn't easy delegatable
Mhm.
because a lot of it is just like the knowledge. And I know my process. I can't just say, hey, go set up the system for me when I don't even know what the system looks like. So that's been a bit of a challenge.
Okay. So I think that your bottleneck isn't necessarily too much to do, not enough time, as much as it is around managing the project based on the available time that you have in your schedule.
Mhm.
And so, what I mean by that, but you're nodding, so I think I'm on the right path, is you chose the date when to launch your group program, right?
Mhm.
And when you chose the date to launch your group program, did you circle back and look into the amount of time you had available to do the prep work on that?
Yes and no. So the challenge was the lady who told me about it was able to set it up for me, but it was, I thought it was going to be done within like a week, and it ended up taking like 3 weeks because she had a lot of other big projects on her plate she was working on, and mine was kind of minimal. So it kept getting pushed back, pushed back. So that kind of really wrecked my timetable for sure, as I was planning on having a lot more time to invest in this, not just like a week. So
Right.
yes.
Okay. So I think if we dig in, I think that's that piece is, so thank you for clarifying, because so here's a rule of thumb that I used. You're going to use a bonus for you and for everyone watching right now is when I estimate time, I give myself a buffer. And I use a special buffer. So if it's something I've done before and I'm pretty confident I know how long it's going to take, I give myself a 1.5 buffer. So if I think it's going to take me an hour, I give myself an hour and a half
Mm.
just in case stuff happens. If it's something I've never done before, I multiply by 3.
Okay.
So if it's an hour, I give myself 3. And then this is my own personal one. If it's anything involving tech, I just multiply by 10 because I just know that I don't know what I don't know. And so my estimation skills are vastly underrated. And so I just do that big multiplier there. And so I think that's where we're at because you did look at what your time was available and you'd never done the project before. And I don't know whether or not you've worked with this person before, but there was that lack of clarity around if she could hit the deadline and then you were stuck on the deadline. So I think your bottleneck is just giving yourself some like we said the other day, space and grace around what you have so that you can stick to your work hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I
How does
think
that
I get
feel?
unrealistic. I do have unrealistic expectations. I'm like, oh, I'll get it done by the end of the week. It'll be fine. I can do this. Yeah. So definitely giving myself more buffer time makes a lot of sense. It's something I should do.
Yeah. Well, and and what I love about this process, and in full disclosure, Tracy and I know each other. And what's great about this process is we went through the AWE acronym and process. Was A was awareness, and you knew there was something because you were working outside the hours that you had chosen to work, and you've been really diligently trying to stay within that container.
Mhm.
And then the W is that work answer of, okay, now what? And so we delved into it a little bit. The multiplier of 1.53 and 10 may or may not be the right solution for your challenge, but that's an example of the W, the work phase. And then E is the evaluation of let's circle back later and make sure that our solution is actually working for the problem and it didn't uncover another problem.
Mhm.
So we just went through A, feel pretty confident we hit your bottleneck, right?
Yep.
Yes, 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 yes. And then we hit the W, which may or may not be the right solution for you, but it's a path. And then evaluation will happen in a couple weeks when you can look back and say, hey, yeah, it worked. No, it didn't.
Yep. Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. So for those of you who are watching right now, special thanks to our guest, Tracy. And you can reach her at Design and Renew Career and Finance Coaching. And if you're wondering, what is your bottleneck costing you? I invite you to go to impactivestrategies.com/cost. And there's an easy worksheet where you can plug in a couple numbers and you can find out what your bottleneck is actually costing you each and every day.